Pip McWu, Monster Hunter. The Hunt for a Willful Wangliang. Pip McWu is my legal name, although I doubt it's traceable to any nationality or culture. There's probably not another soul on Earth with the surname of McWu. That's understandable, and I'll tell you how McWu came about. My mother came from Taiwan, and her family name was Wu. In Taipei, she met my future father, a skinny, wiry, teetotaling Irishman. It's true, but I won't insult my heritage by saying a sober Irishman is about as rare as my name. From the stories I've heard of him, my father, Mick something, began life in an Irish orphanage and, upon entering adolescence, ended up in a monastery, getting ready for the priesthood. Before I go on, I should tell you that these things were told to me by the head mistress of the Catholic Taiwanese orphanage where I grew up. Yes, I'm an orphan, just like Dad, or was, until I grew up and moved out on my own. But getting back to my father, something made him leave Ireland before taking his vows. Nasty Sister Wong, the nurse who allegedly took care of our health in the orphanage, the wupo in the black habit who loved pouring that poison-tasting cough medicine down all the kids' throats, said my father was a typical Irishman. Miss Meany meant that wanderlust filled him, and he had an eye for Chinese women. I never believed that story. In an unconventional way, Mistress Sister Chan, the stern head of the orphanage, filled the void as my adopted mother, and to this day, we share a tight bond. My mistress is still tall, straight, and dignified. Sister Chan hardly ever wore a habit, preferring plain, pleated, ankle-length skirts and black or gray blouses. It gave her a more commanding presence during her frequent dealings with bankers, politicians, and visiting dignitaries. I think she's beautiful. The lines around her eyes and mouth add a touch of wisdom. I continue from time to time to use sister as a sounding board for my ideas. But before I get too far ahead, let me finish talking about my father. According to Mistress Chan, my father was a spiritual man, but the literal Chinese meaning is that he was a natural-born exorcist or a conduit to the spirit world. For all I know, he might have connected psychically to the demon exchange. Humans share this planet with other life forms that we can't see and don't know about. There are many who say we also share the planet with unlife forms, or should I say the undead. That's debatable. It seems that in all higher organisms there is a spark or spirit that animates the flesh we call bodies. Sometimes the spirit is so strong that it doesn't need a body. I guess we can call the good spirits angels and the nefarious spirits demons or whatever type of evil they want to be called. A demon spirit may prefer to use a physical body, maybe for added strength. Oddly enough, a demon was the catalyst that I credit for bringing me into this world. You see, one day when my future father was walking through the monastery cemetery back in Ireland, he saw a horrifying sight. In the middle of his devotional prayers, my father happened upon a grisly commotion. There, not more than 10 meters away from him, a beautiful young woman was pulling a corpse right out of a soil-heaped plot. It was a fresh grave, with the tenant, old man Galvin, not settled in for more than a day. After the initial shock, Dad shouted at the woman, who turned her face toward him. Despite her thin, supple white body, her face was like that of an old hag, with teeth almost like a shark's, ready to devour anyone who came near her. She was a dirge-doo, an evil vampiress that prowls the moors and graveyards of Ireland. To both the living and the dead, she sucks the blood and the spirits of those who will give her the most vitality. Old Galvin, a deacon, possessed an inner strength the dirge-doo craved. Aghast, my father tried to physically stop the sacrilegious fiend. No earthly weapon could harm the supernatural beast, and Dad fought it hand to hand, with faith as his greatest strength, but it wasn't enough. Something wasn't right. Call it the wrong spiritual frequency or seeing through the lie, but instinctively, Dad realized this was not a dirge-doo he was fighting. It came from a far-off land. A Chinese demon, a wangliang, had followed the ghostly trade winds to Ireland to snatch the essence of a new type of host. With a laugh, it swallowed the consciousness of Galvin, then reverted to its hideous true form and disappeared. My father didn't have the power to stop it, but this life form left a trail for him to follow, which he did all the way to Taiwan. Dad was determined to release Galvin's spirit and destroy this wangliang. And now we come to me, Pip McWu, and the rest of my early life story. Dad lived in Taiwan for several years, searching for that demon. During his stay, he met my future mother, Wu Xiaojia. It wasn't really a chance meeting. Mom also had the spirit sight and a connection to the dark world. They met through a mutual acquaintance and soon married. When Mom was pregnant with me, the very demon they sought visited them. It sensed Mom's vulnerability and took the offensive. In a fearsome, violent battle, the wangliang's grim marauding finally ended, and the essence of Deacon Galvin found peace. In the trade-off, Dad lost his life, and Mom lay mortally wounded. Local clergy carried Mom to the orphanage, where she gave birth, but by giving life, she surrendered her own. The nuns of the orphanage identified my mother as Wu, but my father died a mystery. When asked, my mother could only whisper, "Mick," so I became McWu. American missionary nuns founded the orphanage, and they incorporated the English language into daily life. For that reason, staff and children alike have a mastery of English equal to their Chinese. My given name is Philippa, in honor of Saint Philippa, the patron of the orphanage. Somehow the shortened form of my name ended up Pip. That's all Sister Chan could tell me about my parents and myself, but I can fill in some blanks because I inherited their special preternatural abilities. As I dedicate my life to pursuing demons and other monstrum, I understand that they also have a purpose on Earth, and I am here primarily to study them. I will destroy only if mortal life is in jeopardy. And now, just like my parents, my own adventures begin. Sister Chan wasted no time summoning me to investigate yet another rambunctious wangliang, one of those frightening ghouls of the graveyards. The wangliang are childlike at first glance. They are small, about as tall as 3-year-old humans, and have the most beautiful, long, thick black hair. But that's where the similarities end. Their bodies are about the size and shape of large welcome mats, but thick. I guess you can say that they resemble luggage suitcases, and they move in a fast, slinking manner. Flesh hangs off their squat bodies like shredded cloth, and they don't seem to wear clothes. It's hard to tell what's rotting, sagging skin and muscle, and what's tattered rags, anyway. Their eyes are piercing red, and their ears look like big elf ears. Wangliang hands and feet have claws, which they probably use for digging up plots. It's just as natural for them to scamper on all fours as it is for them to walk upright. Wangliang are grave stalkers, but they don't steal bodies or consume souls. They are energy beings and absorb the last vestiges of any residual energy emitted by a corpse's cells. From what I've heard, those last remnants of human life are what wangliang survive on. They take energy, not souls, which makes them much more tolerable, but there are exceptions. In very rare instances, these little grave robbers gain the means of stealing consciousness, which turns out to be an inexhaustible supply of energy for the fiends. Wangliang can't keep that pilfered fundamental energy. The energy needs to become free. This is where I come in and people with my gifts. No one can pinpoint the origin of the wangliang. They seem to take energy only from humans and no other animals or plant life. Wangliang could have come from a human mutation of long ago, and instead of eating, they absorb energy right into their hands. There is a definite connection between us and them. But not everything is in balance. On the 1st of October, Sister Chan summoned me to her modest office at St. Philippa's. My mistress is a minimalist when it comes to decorating. An old pine desk, cluttered but neat, a computer off to the side on its own wooden table, and file cabinets filling every available inch of wall space. The top half of the office walls is beige painted plaster, and the bottom is beige wainscoting. Black, white, and red vinyl tiles cover the floor. Of course, a large crucifix hangs on the wall behind the desk chair. The simplicity of the room belies Sister's mental complexity. McWu, the sister greeted. She always called me McWu. It appears that there is a wangliang at Deshur Cemetery, as wild as a typhoon. Right to the point, not even a basic hello from her. But that was Sister. Still, Mistress Chan respected my special gifts, and I gave her utmost respect. Qingwen. I asked, which translates into, may I humbly inquire? It was something we said at the orphanage. The discordant melody of supernatural strife at Dashur Cemetery howls stridently in my ears, Sister, the enduring schoolteacher, elaborated. Some overgrown wangliang with a taste for the living has set up camp at the burial ground. The thing feeds on the dead, yet has also attacked gravediggers, tearing their flesh. Not typical of wangliang behavior. It is evil, and this happens from time to time with these twilight beasts. And they just get worse. Am I to travel to the cemetery to halt its insolent ways? I asked. Yes, Mistress Chan confirmed. Your strength comes from your faith, but we both know you bring more to this fight. I know, I replied. My parents remained nameless to the world of light, yet those that lurked in the dark feared them. Between Father's first encounter and his death, both parents claimed victories against night imps and Shao. As a product of my parents' union, their powers are mine, but never would they have imagined how much more amplified I am. Cherished one, Sister said, the beast is wreaking havoc, and soon it will dine on the living. Once a demon acquires a taste for the animated, it won't go back. Like a tiger entering a human village. Yes, Sister, I agreed, and the meat from the living will turn this wangliang from a house cat into a tiger. Soon, we will deal with a demonic Jack the Ripper. Mistress Chan looked pensive, remembering a story from the past. When I first heard of your father's account with the wangliang in Ireland, she said, I thought of Jack the Ripper. After all, Jack was another bloodthirsty wangliang that settled in England. Something from another realm apparently killed it, and your parents stopped the genesis of another at the cost of their lives. Now you need to enter Dashur Cemetery to destroy this new Ripper, but I'm afraid of losing you. Do not fear, Mistress, I reassured her. Mine is the only force that can defeat it, and my spiritual powers are growing. I am ready. Fair enough, Sister Chan acknowledged. Time is of the essence. You will enter the cemetery tomorrow, an hour before midnight. You will seek this fiendish wangliang and eliminate it. I do not want to think of the prospect of your not returning. Bless you on this mission. We will see each other again soon, I said to Sister, then left her office to prepare for my coming encounter. October 2nd. Dashur Cemetery is less than an hour's walk from St. Philippa's orphanage, so I began the trek from my old childhood home. No one was around to wish me off, not even my mistress. It's what I wanted because I needed the solitude to focus. The orphanage and the cemetery are in the Taipei suburbs, but separated by the bustling downtown wedged between the two. The bright, friendly streets are never completely empty of people. Taiwan is a warm, humid island, and tonight was no exception. People basked in the night air, but soon the neon lights of the stores and vendors faded in the late hour. By then, I took a dark, deserted winding footpath to the cemetery entrance. Taiwanese people shun the resting places of the dead at night, so I stood alone at the gate, looking over thousands of gravestones. People barely understand the spirit realm. Taoism, Buddhism, Christianity, and other belief systems try to make sense of things, qualifying and quantifying the unknowns to find order and common ground. No one has a clue. There are a few of us who have insights and gifts, like my parents and me, but we never reveal ourselves, except to people like my mistress. We don't fear being considered lunatics. We fear victimization by the unscrupulous. My own observations and experiences lead me to believe that these twilight creatures are not at all from alternative realities. We are all from Earth, but we are not all flesh and blood. Earthling organisms of the flesh, from men to goblins, need to eat, and many unapologetically eat animal meat. Then there are energy beings native to Earth, and they draw sustenance from human energy and often the living world around them. And then there are the organisms of both substance and energy. There's a lot going on. Consciousness and the soul are two different things. That's my belief. God gives a soul, and there is nothing and no one who can take it but God. Dead or alive, our souls are eternal. Consciousness is different. It gives us mortal life. It gives us our force of personality. When we die, it dies, but never the soul. Some life forms we share the earth with can steal our consciousness, and as long as it's kept alive, consciousness is a source of incredible energy for these thieves. It's like stealing a beating heart. This is what I think some wangliang and dirge can do. Sister Chan and I have had these talks in the past, and although she voices skepticism, I think she sides with my rationale. Knowing that these so-called demons and ghouls are of the earth gives me more confidence to face them. They're as mortal as I am, despite their grotesque table manners. Tonight, I entered the cemetery, and my only weapon was a peachwood staff. Having reasoned that my foe is not really supernatural in a religious sense, I also reasoned that as Taiwanese, my extraordinary gifts are best channeled through this staff hewn of a peach tree. It's what all the professed Taiwanese exorcists use, and maybe the peach Taiwanese compatibility is in the genetics. I passed through the gate with staff in hand and stepped onto the cobbled footpath. Evenly spaced, dimly lit lanterns that reached hip-high glowed yellow and orange and reflected off the dark granite gravestones. The Titian smolder of the full moon seeped through the clouds and illuminated the entire city of the dead. I felt uneasy, as if unprotected from harm, and shunned the use of a flashlight. Walking along slowly, the flow of energy spilling from the freshest grave led me to my quarry. My stealthy steps halted less than 20 feet from the preoccupied abomination, and I crouched in the shadow of a granite dragon. The statue wasn't a Christian symbol, but ancient traditions are hard to cast aside. The beast didn't detect me. Just as Sister said, this wangliang was an overgrown, fat specimen. It's what happens when they consume both consciousness and the physical bodies of the dead. This was an archetype ghoul, brainless and driven by its lowest cravings. It knelt atop the soil mound of the new grave, digging like a badger, throwing dirt haphazardly everywhere. Mud covered the thing, but its claws and teeth gleamed in the moonlight. The monster was after the prize at the bottom of the hole it was excavating. If it reached the cadaver and ate it, then it might become too strong for me. That mass of claws and teeth could kill me. It was time to act. "Hey!" I yelled at the filthy wretch. It stopped digging and looked up at me, startled, just like a surprised badger. We locked eyes, and the thing stood on two legs. Then it dropped on all fours and scuttled toward me. My legs lost their strength and buckled, and my mind went blank. Death approached. Confused and overwhelmed, I wanted to run into Sister Chan's protective embrace. All I could see was the beast's shadowy form mindlessly moving toward me, like a black millipede weaving over dirt and leaves. A thought flooded into my brain, the thought of Mistress Chan's disappointment in me for failing. Instantly, I reacted with a determination that I once doubted I had. Not anymore. The surrounding scenes seemed to slow, and the rushing beast was no longer frightening. A body length away, it leaped into the air, lunging at my throat. I swung my peachwood staff and smashed it hard against the thing's head. The wangliang went down in a lump, but bounced back up like it was on springs. The beast's reflexes shocked my own into hyperspeed, and I impaled the wangliang with a two-handed thrust of my staff. There truly was something special about combining my gifts with peachwood because sparks of electricity, or maybe of consciousness, shook the fiend to its core. I don't see how that could have happened under any other earthly circumstances. A wail of pain blared from the wangliang's mouth, its deadly teeth sparkling like glass slivers, and then it fell limp. It lay lifeless for only half a minute before disintegrating in front of my eyes, as if it had never existed. None of the entrails of the wangliang stuck to my staff, either. All at once, I was alone in the cemetery at midnight, but felt comforted by the serenity. I vanquished the wangliang and realized that I'm also a kind of hero to the defenseless corpses. Mistress Chan will be so proud of me.